Hello, BookTube. I have a small Brattle book haul I want to show you. The book haul itself was not small, but the portion of it that was just for me was just a few books. All the rest of them were for you. I can't show those on camera, can I? That would be spoiling the surprise. But I was tremendously gratified the last time I did one of these, and how many of you thought, this is interesting too. This is a different kind of interesting from the new books that you open on camera, because these books mean something to you already. That's that's very nice. It's very nice to know that, and so I wanted to share these with you. And as is usually the case with books I get for myself at the Brattle these days, these are books that I've already read and that I just wanted for myself. I have discovered over the last 5 or 6 years that the more new books of interest that I get in the mail for free, the less exploring I feel like doing at the Brattle. It used to be that that's what I would do. I would have an armload of books in a minute of stuff. Ooh, I want to try that. Ooh, I want to try that. If it's $1, that's painless. And that I've found, without any conscious attempt on my part, I've found that urge has now been sublimated into the mailbox. The books I get in the mail are my exploratory reading. They're the things that I'll try, and because they look interesting, and the price is certainly right. and in addition to that, I get to write about them, one way or another, whether I like them or hate them. So it's which I also had that the old way with my intergalactically famous book blog, Steve Reads. The whole process is shifting. So nowadays what I find is the books I get at the Brattle tend to be good copies of stuff that I want to keep, that I've already read, that I like, that I want to reread, and that I want to keep. So, and that's definitely true for, I've got 4 books to show you here, and it's true for all of them. First is this one, Tom Mallon's book, A Book of One's Own. This is his great study of diary and journal keeping throughout history. The different kinds of things that it has been for the people who've done it, the different kinds of purposes that it's served. The subtitle is For People in Their Diaries, and the categories are chroniclers, travelers, pilgrims, creators, apologists, confessors, prisoners. The apologist one is particularly entertaining, but they're all wonderful. I myself have kept a journal forever, for just a million years, and I've read all the books about diary writing, and I've read all the great diaries that have been published, and this is the best book I've ever read on the phenomenon of it, on what it is that we do when we do this every day. I had a paperback of it that I reinforced with tape, but this doesn't need any reinforcing at all. This is just fine, and I reread it all the time. The last time I reread the which one was it? It was about 2 years ago. I reread the creators section of this book, and I reread my paperback, and I remember thinking, it's right in the middle of the book, I remember thinking, oh, I'd better be careful. I don't want to think that, but a book that I'm going to keep rereading until I croak. So I was happy to find this. And then the next one is this. This is Philip Ziegler's biography of Lord Mountbatten, who was everything in the world in life. He was bigger than life. He was glamorous and royal. He was great-grandson of Queen Victoria. He was, I think, a nephew of the Tsar. A royal governor. He was a uncle to the Duke of Edinburgh, to the Queen's husband, and the man who arranged their marriage, and was the sort of the gray advisor behind them for decades. And not a particularly nice human being. Outsized, overly forceful, charismatic, endlessly enjoyable to read about, but not particularly nice, not a sympathetic figure. And I love this biography because it's a perfect example of what Ziegler has made a sort of little cottage industry out of doing, which is writing great in the round biographies of people who history has, to say it mildly, been unkind to. Mountbatten has few fans in the popular historical imagination, and Ziegler's also he did a great biography of King Edward VIII, who the Duke of Windsor. Some of you may know he was a friend of Mountbatten's, and he became infamous for abdicating in the middle of the 20th century in order to marry Wallis Simpson. And I'd read 2 biographies of him biographies that hated him and excoriated him. And Ziegler wrote one that it was no fluff job, but it was remarkably even-handed. And even more amazing than that, he wrote a great biography of King William IV, a wine-bloated fop and an utterly useless king. And it's a great biography. It never overstates its case, but it is so insightful, so sympathetic and insightful. Oh. So the CAD Club of biographies, and he's the maitre d'. So I was happy to find this because, again, the last copy I had of this was a big British trade paperback that might have been light and might have taken up less weight and space on the shelf, but could not be read. You're scrunching it this whole time where you're going to crack it wide open. So now I have this, and it's a little bit frayed, so I will repair it, and then it will be just there. It'll be... I've read it twice. I'm sure I will read it again. And then these last 2, oh my God, they were the finds. Look at these. These are the first 2 enormous volumes of the Red Wheel Cycle by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. His massive, multi-character, Tolstoy-esque reimagining of World War I from the Russian viewpoint. There's August 1914 and November 1916, and these are in these Farrar, Straus and Giroux wonderful paperbacks that are paperbacks that are made to handle books this big, so they're not going to crack apart. I had the old, I'm sure you've seen it in used bookstores, the August 1914 volume is green, the old trade paperback, and it's much bigger than this because it was on heavier stock paper, and it could not be read. You couldn't. I tried because I've gotten several dollar copies of it at the Brattle. You could not read it from start to finish without it physically falling apart. You couldn't do it. And this is not going to fall apart. This lays open flat. They both do. So I myself am of the opinion that Solzhenitsyn is a toweringly great writer. The kind of tortured, relentlessly honest, toweringly great writer that the Russian tradition turns up as frequently as stones in an Irish field. I don't know what they put in the water over there, but I wouldn't have it any other way. So I was very happy to have these. This will be, I intend to, God help me, I intend to make heavy inroads into contemporary Russian classics from the last 120, 130 years in 2017, and this will be this will be part of that endeavor. So there you go. This is just a small Brattle book haul. 4 things that I know I will keep in formats that I want. So I'll be back to new books, I'm sure, in no time at all. Thank you, BookTube.